TV sci-fi has always been where the craziest ideas live. Time travel, AI, space wars, killer dolphins, you name it. But every now and then, networks get a bit too bold. These are 15 sci-fi series that aimed high and face-planted spectacularly. Number 15, Galactica 1980, ABC, 1980. ABC tried to resurrect Battlestar Galactica and somehow turned an interstellar war epic into Sunday family programming. Airing at 7 p.m., against 60 Minutes and The Wonderful World of Disney, it never stood a chance. The network wanted something educational. So out went the space battles, and in came moral lessons, flying motorcycles, and a recycled effects reel. Instead of exploring the stars, the Galactica crew landed on 1980s Earth to secretly boost human science while hiding from silence. One storyline even had them chasing a rogue time traveler who helped Nazi Germany invent futuristic tech. It sounded bold. It looked absurd. Fans of the original series were horrified. By the time the finale, The Return of Starbuck, gave viewers a flash of the old magic, the show was already dead. Galactica 1980 didn't just crash. It nosedived under the weight of network meddling, budget cuts, and the fatal idea that you can teach science lessons in a time slot built for cartoons. Number 14, Automan, ABC, 1983-84. Before Tron, Legacy, there was Automan, a neon fever dream where a computer cop literally builds his holographic best friend. Imagine RoboCop meets Miami Vice with a glow-stick budget. The hero drives a car that turns at perfect right angles and blinds criminals with geometry. It looked cool once. Then the novelty wore off like disco pants in daylight. The show's creators wanted cutting-edge effects on 1980s money, which meant they could afford about 2 seconds of glowing CGI per week. So when the tech budget ran dry, they just reused the same driving shots. You'd see that blue streak whip around a corner for the 15th time and think, didn't he just arrest this guy last episode? It wasn't bad, exactly. Just lost. The idea of a man made of pixels was wild for its time, but audiences wanted character, not circuitry. In the end, Automan didn't just vanish from the grid. It tripped the power cord on the way out. By the way, if you're enjoying this trip through TV's cosmic junkyard, hit subscribe. It keeps us from getting canceled faster than these shows did. Number 13, Max Headroom, ABC, 1987-88. If Black Mirror had a VHS older brother, it was Max Headroom. This show predicted streaming, fake news, and influencer culture before any of us were born. It centered on a snarky, glitching AI talking head who exposed corporate greed and media control. Pretty prophetic, right? The problem? It aired in 1987, when people thought cyberspace was a video arcade. The writing was razor sharp, too sharp for primetime. Viewers tuning in for explosions got lectures about advertising ethics. Critics loved it, but audiences stared at the screen like it was a malfunctioning toaster. ABC panicked, shuffled the schedule, and quietly unplugged the show after 2 seasons. Looking back, Max Headroom was ahead by at least 20 years. It deserved a world that understood its jokes. Instead, it became the sci-fi version of a misunderstood genius, mocked in its time, legendary after. Sometimes, the future really does arrive too early for its own audience. Number 12, Earth 2, NBC, 1994-95. Earth 2 should have been huge. Spielberg's name was on it. The world building was cinematic, and the premise screamed prestige. Human colonists leave a dying Earth to start fresh on another planet. Think The Martian meets Lost, with extra existential dread. The visuals were stunning for 90s TV, real deserts, alien creatures, a sense of scope that made other shows look like cardboard sets. So what went wrong? Scheduling.NBC bounced it around like a broken satellite, moving time slots mid-season. Viewers couldn't keep up. The show mixed deep ecological themes with family drama, but by the time it found its footing, no one was still watching. It wasn't canceled because it was bad. It was canceled because nobody could find it. In hindsight, Earth 2 was way ahead of its time. A quiet, thoughtful sci-fi about survival and empathy in a corporate future. It aimed for heart, not hype, and paid the price for subtlety. Number 11, Space, Above and Beyond, Fox, 1995-96. Before Battlestar Galactica rebooted war in space drama, Space, Above and Beyond gave us Marines fighting aliens with real emotion. It wasn't glossy or campy. It was gritty, painful, human. The creators wanted to show what interstellar war would actually feel like. Fear, loss, PTSD, all wrapped in military sci-fi realism. And it worked for a while, but Fox didn't know what to do with it. The budget was sky high, the tone was somber, and it didn't have the quippy fun of the X-Files. Some weeks it got moved, others preempted by football. Viewers gave up trying to follow. By the finale, the story ended mid-battle, literally on a cliffhanger, and Fox just shrugged. Today, fans call it one of the great lost series of the 90s. Watching it now feels like reading someone's brilliant, unfinished novel. You can see the greatness, even if the ending never came. Sometimes, even the bravest soldiers lose the war to scheduling. Number 10. SeaQuest DSV, NBC, 1993-96. Imagine Star Trek underwater. That was SeaQuest DSV, a sleek submarine, a dolphin that talked, and Steven Spielberg's name stamped on it. It was supposed to be highbrow science fiction about ocean exploration and human potential. What it became was chaos in a wetsuit. Season 1 was about science. Season 2 added aliens. By Season 3, they were fighting undersea terrorists with telepathy. It went from Jacques Cousteau to Saturday morning cartoon in record time. The budget sank faster than the ratings. Cast members quit, writers revolted, and NBC tried to patch holes with celebrity cameos and melodrama. Even the dolphin started feeling like a hostage. The irony? The premise was pure gold. But every time the show tried to ask a big question, the network tossed in an explosion. SeaQuest wanted to make us dream of the deep. Instead, it made us afraid of what happens when too many executives grab the steering wheel. Feeling the heartbreak yet? Every one of these shows tried to change sci-fi forever and got buried for it. Hit that like button, subscribe, and tell me which one still hurts the most. Because trust me, we've got even bigger heartbreaks coming. Number 9. Crusade, TNT, 1999. Spin-offs are supposed to build empires. Crusade never even made it out of dry dock. It was meant to continue the legacy of Babylon 5, exploring a universe scarred by war and moral gray zones. Creator Michael Straczynski had a 5-year arc planned out, layered, complex, philosophical. TNT said, "Cool, but can you make it sexier?" The creative tug-of-war started before Episode 1. Executives demanded more action, less conversation. They wanted leather outfits instead of politics, quick fights instead of slow burns. Straczynski finally walked away mid-production. By the time Crusade hit the air, it was already dead inside. 13 episodes aired, none in the right order, and then silence. Fans still argue it could have rivaled Deep Space Nine if anyone had just left it alone. Instead, it became the sci-fi version of a book with the last chapters ripped out. All premise, no payoff. Proof that sometimes the enemy isn't the aliens, it's the suits. Number 8. Firefly, Fox, 2002. You've probably heard of this one. Firefly wasn't just a show, it was a movement that got canceled before it could walk. A crew of misfits flying through space, smuggling, surviving, occasionally saving the day. Joss Whedon's writing was sharp, the cast chemistry was lightning in a bottle, and the world building was fresh. Cowboys in space. Genius. So of course, Fox decided to air the episodes out of order. The pilot? They didn't even show it first. They started with a random mid-season episode because someone thought it had more action. Ratings dropped instantly. 13 episodes in, the show was gone. Fans mourned like they'd lost a friend. Years later, Serenity hit theaters, proving what we already knew. It was never about failure. It was about network impatience. Firefly burned bright and fast, and its ghost still haunts every canceled sci-fi that dared to dream too big. Number 7. Dollhouse, Fox, 2009-2010. Imagine a world where people's minds could be wiped and rewritten like hard drives. That was Dollhouse. It took on identity, morality, and control, all wrapped in futuristic espionage. The problem? Nobody knew when it was on. Fox kept moving it, then dropped it on Friday nights, the TV graveyard. The concept was heavy but brilliant. Eliza Dushku played Echo, a woman who becomes anyone for a price. It had potential to be the next Black Mirror, but instead, it became a network experiment in confusion. Viewers tuned out, critics scratched their heads, and Fox pulled the plug just as the story was catching fire. Looking back, it's one of those shows that needed time to breathe. Each episode peeled back layers of what it means to be human. Sadly, the network didn't stick around long enough to hear the answer. Sometimes, brilliance doesn't need more marketing. It just needs patience. Number 6. Flash Forward, ABC, 2009-10. A global blackout where everyone sees 6 months into the future? That premise alone deserved a decade-long run. Flash Forward opened strong, mysterious, and full of potential. People saw their future weddings, deaths, even affairs. It asked the big question, can destiny be changed? Then ABC went on hiatus mid-season. Viewers forgot it existed. By the time it returned, the pacing felt like molasses. Too many subplots, too few answers. The writing wanted to be lost, but the execution felt more like lost and confused. When the finale rolled around, it teased another blackout, and then the screen literally faded to black. The show got canceled that same week. It's the kind of failure that hurts because you could see the brilliance trying to break through. Flash Forward wasn't bad television. It was proof that great ideas die when no one sticks around long enough to finish the thought. Number 5. Caprica, Sci-Fi, 2010. Before killer robots waged war in Battlestar Galactica, there was Caprica, the prequel that wanted to explore how it all began. Instead of space battles and explosions, it gave us philosophy, grief, and the creation of artificial life. Sounds deep, right? Too deep for most viewers. Fans expecting laser fights got long debates about consciousness and digital souls. It was like going to a concert and finding out it's a poetry reading. To its credit, Caprica was beautifully written, visually moody, and full of emotional weight. It asked questions about family, loss, and what it means to play God. But that kind of introspection didn't mix well with Friday night audiences looking for something loud and easy to follow. Ratings sank, critics got nervous, and Sci-Fi pulled the plug halfway through the story. It's a shame, really. Caprica wasn't a failure of imagination. It was a failure of patience. If it premiered today on a streaming platform, it might have found the thoughtful audience it deserved. Instead, it became another cautionary tale about what happens when brilliance moves slower than the channel guide. Number 4. Terra Nova, Fox, 2011. Dinosaurs. Time travel. Spielberg. What could possibly go wrong? Terra Nova promised everything. A post-apocalyptic Earth, a portal to prehistoric times, and survival among raptors with family drama on the side. The pilot alone cost nearly $20 million, which might explain why Fox looked nervous before the first episode even aired. The show looked stunning. Every frame screamed blockbuster. The problem? The stories didn't. Instead of gritty sci-fi, we got suburban squabbles with dinosaurs grazing in the background. Imagine arguing about your teenager's curfew while a T-Rex strolls past. The stakes never felt real, and the dialogue tried way too hard to be profound. Critics said it felt like Jurassic Park written by a PDA committee. After one expensive season, Fox decided they'd rather not pay another prehistoric electric bill. Terra Nova proved that a show can have spectacle without soul. When audiences tune in for dinosaurs, they don't want family therapy. They want danger, awe, and maybe a little screaming. Number 3. Almost Human, Fox, 2013-14. A grizzled cop and his android partner solving crimes in the future. That's Almost Human. It had Carl Urban, sleek production, and a storyline that mixed action with real emotion. The chemistry between the leads was the kind of lightning networks dream about. So what happened? Fox again. Episodes aired out of order, storylines got scrambled, and character arcs made no sense. One week the android learns empathy, the next he forgets it ever happened. Viewers were confused, critics were frustrated, and the show's momentum vanished. Which is tragic, because Almost Human had something rare, heart. It wasn't just another buddy cop gimmick. It was about what it means to be alive in a world where humanity can be programmed. Fans still swear it could have been Blade Runner for TV if the network had just trusted it. Instead, it became another casualty of impatience. The irony? A show about machines ended up being treated like one, easy to shut down when things got complicated. Number 2. Sense8, Netflix, 2015-18. Imagine 8 strangers around the world suddenly linked by mind and emotion. That's Sense8, and it was unlike anything television had ever attempted. The Wachowskis filmed across continents, featured dozens of languages, and told deeply human stories inside a massive sci-fi concept. It celebrated identity, empathy, and connection in a way that felt revolutionary. But revolutionary doesn't come cheap. Each episode reportedly cost around $9 million. Netflix loved the artistry until they saw the bill. Ratings were solid but not spectacular, and after 2 seasons, they pulled the plug. Fans didn't just protest, they mobilized. Online petitions, campaigns, even live events pushed Netflix to fund one final 2-hour movie to wrap it up. That ending wasn't perfect, but it was heartfelt. Sense8 became the rare show that died on its own terms, with its cast and creators closing the loop. It reminded everyone that sometimes television isn't just about views or budgets. It's about people finding themselves reflected in stories too bold to survive the system. Number 1. The Peripheral, Prime Video, 2022. If you blinked, you might have missed it. The peripheral was smart, sleek, and loaded with potential. Adapted from a William Gibson novel, it explored time manipulation, corporate greed, and the future of human consciousness. The world building was mesmerizing, the cast strong, and the visuals move a level. It was the kind of show that made you sit up straight and actually think. Then Amazon canceled it halfway through its second season production. Why? Cost mostly. The writers' strike didn't help, but it was clear the show was expensive and demanding. Viewers needed patience to understand it, and streaming platforms aren't known for that anymore. It's tragic because the peripheral was on the brink of greatness. It wasn't confusing, it was complex. It rewarded attention. But attention spans, like budgets, are short these days. So it got cut, leaving fans stranded mid-story, staring at a cliffhanger that may never be resolved. The future, it seems, can be canceled too. And there you have it, 15 beautiful disasters that aimed for the stars and ran out of fuel halfway there. Some were too smart, some too weird, some just too early. But every one of them mattered, because they dared to dream past what television could handle. So, which one broke your heart the most? Drop it in the comments. And if you love stories about brilliant ideas that crashed in style, hit subscribe. It's the one renewal this channel actually gets.